says we're still scheduled in the upper left corner. Yeah, we are live. Happy Monday, everybody. It's Jonathan Mallard and Ryan Faloona here with you for another Benzinga Pro little mini tutorial. We've just been going through different aspects of the platform here over the past week or two. And so, yeah, Ryan, how was your weekend, man?
It was great, man. I think spring has sprung. I feel like winter kind of went out with a bang here in Chicago with, several feet of snow over the course of a few weeks. But the weather is changing. The birds are out singing. Spring has definitely sprung. So this weekend was really, really relaxing. I had a great time. How about yours? How was it in Michigan?
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful here in Detroit. So, yeah, the snow is melting all like 15 feet of it. But yeah, it's been great. And so what we wanted to go into today is the earnings calendar and how you can use the earnings calendar inside of Benzinga Pro to, number one, plan your actions for today based off of, what's already occurred, earnings that have been announced, and then also plan ahead. So you can look at earnings in the future, expected earnings, and all of that good stuff. So Ryan and producer Rohan, why don't we share a screen and get going here?
All right, awesome, Jonathan. So first of all, as you mentioned, you can use this earnings tool for whatever your earnings needs are. So I've got a blank workspace here. And the reason I left it blank is because I want to show you that we have a preset for this exact layout. So I'm going to go ahead and click on launch for earnings monitor, and that's going to launch a news feed and the calendar. Now, the reason that this is what's launched is because the news feed is filtered to only show you guidance and earnings news. So if you need to either keep track of the earnings being released on a real-time basis, like let's say, for example, it's after hours or before market when there's a slew of earnings, the news feed is going to be the way for you to get the best possible latency. You're going to get those reports as soon as possible. Now, on the right-hand, so let me go ahead and zoom in here so it might be a little bit easier to see. Now, on the right-hand side, we actually have the calendar tool, and we have the calendar tool set to earnings. So as Jonathan mentioned, you can use this in two different ways. You can either take a look at the earnings that have happened or the earnings that are going to happen. So Jonathan, let's first start it off with the example that you mentioned about earnings that have happened. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click the date, and then I'm going to select, I'm going to go back to February or just the trailing 7-day shortcut option that we have. Now that I'm seeing last week, Jonathan, what filters do you like to apply to kind of whittle this list down?
Yeah, well, if I'm looking for bullish catalysts, right, very basic filter would be surprise percent. They had analysts gave an estimate of what they thought the earnings would be. And then if it is above that estimate, then that's generally bullish for the stock. So you could just say surprise percent greater than 1, or you could say surprise percent greater than 10 if you're looking for something 10% greater. Sometimes you can get a little bit crazy numbers if it's a smaller price per share stock or something, and you'll see like beat it by 1,000%. But anyways, I digress. It's a nice simple filter that's easy to use.
Now, Jonathan, do you use this on EPS, on revenue, or on both?
Well, really either or, but if it's on both, if it's both earnings and revenue, then that's even better, right?
Right.
So that's a really easy way to find some of those bullish catalysts.
All right. So what I did here per your example is I went ahead and I put greater than 1 on a surprise EPS beat and then also a revenue beat. So what we're seeing here then is over the last week, we're seeing earnings reports that had a beat on both the top and the bottom line. And so what you can do here is you can actually go through these tickers and take a look and see if any of them either A, stand out, or B, if you need to do some more due diligence. So for example, if I click on one of those tickers and then I click on the chart tab, I can actually take a look and see what the chart looks like. In this particular example, we're down from the highs right around 90 and a half down here at 86, and they just produced some good results. So you can use this to kind of figure out what took place the last week or the last month. If you have a watch list filter of stocks that you watch on a regular basis, you can always filter your tool by that watch list and then apply those surprise EPS or revenue filters to kind of do some of the research for you. Now, that's a really good tip for going over stocks that have already reported earnings. But the other thing that we can do, let me go ahead and clear off some of those filters. All right, so now we've got this unfiltered here. The other thing that we can do is we can actually click on this week, right? So let me go back in there. It looks like I clicked a little too quickly. What I've got is I have March 1st through March 5th selected. And what that's going to do is that's going to produce a list of stocks that are set to report earnings this particular week. And you'll notice some of them are confirmed, some of them are unconfirmed. If you'd like to filter, one of the things that you can do is actually just go in here and uncheck unconfirmed, and now you will only see the list of confirmed earnings. What that basically means is that the company has issued a press release confirming when it's going to make this information public, or our news desk and data team has actually heard directly from the company. In some cases, the confirmation won't come till a day or two even before the actual EPS date. So keep that in mind. The unconfirmed date that we're giving you is based off of historical earnings dates. So we try to figure out or give you at minimum a ballpark figure of when this company can be expected to report. And then we make an adjustment when the company actually confirms that. Now, once you have these earnings here, you can actually, like anything in the calendar, you can actually sort the calendar by any of these columns. So if there's a particular estimated EPS or estimated revenue number that you're looking at, or a particular stock that you're looking for, you can go ahead and sort these columns and find it that way. If there's more whittling down that you have to do, so for example, excuse me, if you only wanted to see specific quarters, you can do that by adjusting the period filter. So for example, I only want to see earnings reports for stocks that are reporting their Q4 earnings, or likewise, I could change this to any other quarter that you'd like. Now, just like in the last example where we can apply a watch list filter to this earnings calendar, you can do the same thing here, right? You can always apply a watch list filter. If you narrow this list down to a bunch of other companies that you're waiting for, you can actually create a watch list for that and then import that into the watch list, right? So you can select these tickers, hit Control C, actually create a new watch list. All right, let's call this earnings watch list. Then you can just paste those tickers right into the watch list itself. You don't actually have to enter them one at a time. Remember, Control C and Control V. Just as a pro tip, if you're posting in a whole bunch of data, give it a few seconds so that the platform has enough time to load that information in. Once you have this watch list created, you can either watch this throughout the course of the day, or you can use this as other filter criteria. So, Jonathan, did I leave anything glaring out of there? Was there any other pro tips or anything else that you wanted to cover briefly?
Well, I talked with a lot of people who want to do some back testing or just look at historical results. Like how did the price react to those results in the past, or how often did a company beat expectations in the past if they're talking about the probability of playing earnings. And so if you do filter by a watch list, then you could just sort by the symbol, or you can export this entire table up to 10,000 rows. So you could just export it to a different spreadsheet tool, and then you've got the quarter information there, and you can see, all right, over the past 5 years, how often did they beat their expectations. And so that's using the calendar is probably the best way to do that if you're looking at a whole series of stocks or a watch list. However, you can do the same thing inside of the details tool. So if you just want to take a quick look at how a company has performed compared to expectations over the past few years, you just open up that details tool by clicking on a ticker. And then in a minute here, we'll show you, all right, see that calendar tab underneath the price quote? There's actually the calendar inside of the details tool focused only on that company. So very quickly, look, you've got that same surprise percent column there. And what do you know? It looks like CoreLogic has only missed expectations 3 times in the past, what is that, 6 years? So
5 years effectively, yeah.
all right, 5 years. So, I mean, that's some valuable information if you're playing the earnings.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Jonathan. This is actually a really good tip. I had clicked around and actually broke my calendar briefly, but I've gone ahead and fixed it. One more thing that I wanted to mention here, Jonathan, is while we do have an earnings calendar, we actually also have a calendar for guidance. So it might be possible that you actually want to check out guidance, and all you have to do in order to do that is simply select guidance from the dropdown. In fact, if you were so inclined, you could actually add 2 calendar tools to the workspace. Filter one for guidance and one for earnings. Really, the choice is up to you how you want to consume this data and what data you're looking for to begin with.
Awesome. And then just one more thing about that, the news feed that was filtered for earnings and guidance earlier. The one thing that I might add is notice how all of those news items say BZ Wire on the right side of the news feed. That's our curated newsfeed source. But that also means those are manually typed in. So if you want the fastest possible earnings information, go ahead and click on that press releases source that gets pumped directly into our system. And what's great is you're not going to get a few thousand press releases per day. You'll only get the press releases that are auto tagged with earnings or guidance. So it'll still be relevant to what you're looking for. And if you click done there, it looks like there aren't too many there right now, but you can see this morning from PRN, GLN, AW, everything highlighted in brown there is a press release. So that'll make sure you have the fastest possible earnings information. And you might have seen something go across the screen earlier, but by the way, all of this is available for free for up to 2 weeks with a free trial. You can start a free trial with no credit card required at pro.benzinga.com. And there's a whole bunch more on there. And stay tuned for more videos from me and Ryan, as well as you could always check out our videos at pro.benzinga.help for more tutorials or past webinars. And Ryan's doing webinars with a whole bunch of great guest speakers every week.
Absolutely. So, so I mean that's basically it as far as the earnings goes. One thing that I did want to add based on what you were just saying, Jonathan, is that when a company issues an earnings via a press release, it'll often just say, company XYZ reports quarterly earnings. What our news desk does, one of the reasons that the BZ Wire source is so great is they will actually go through that earnings report, pull out some of the important numbers, like perhaps the EPS number or the revenue number, post that in the headline. If I scroll down here to CoreLogic's, here we go. You can actually see that it gave the EPS and what it was up from, as well as the sales numbers, and then also gave it a sentiment indicator to let you know that the news desk thinks highly of that report. This is definitely a bullish report. And then, of course, if you mouse over the ticker for the stock, you can see the stock is actually up over 1.5% today on that report. So it's nice to have both, right? It's nice to have the press release, but if you're not experienced or you don't have the time or the confidence to go through press releases on your own and extract that information, you can always you can always rely on the BZ Wire, which has our news desk. They're professionals. They do this every single day and they do it as fast as possible. So it may help you. You can get that data either way.
And by the way, don't forget about the squawk. The squawk is
Absolutely.
our audio feed. So Charlie, even before we can type out a headline, sometimes Charlie's on top of it. I usually describe it as a walkie-talkie alert system, where as soon as that news is occurring, he turns on the broadcaster, gives you the ticker, the news item, the ticker again. So a lot of people trade off of that, even without having to read the news feed, if they're really accustomed to listening to Charlie and knowing what's going on.
Absolutely.
All right, Ryan, Mallard. I think that could be someone's name. Ryan and Mallard, guys, thanks a lot as always. The email is up on the screen. If you have any questions, email VIP accounts at benzinga.com. If not, pro.benzinga.help. Guys, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
My
Spencer.
pleasure. Have a good one, Spencer.
All right, let's bring on someone from the Benzinga News Desk to do a quick news desk update. If I can get my branding right here. Do we have a news desk update video? I don't think we do. No, we don't. All right, whatever. I'll bring him on. Steve Krause from our news desk. What's up, Steve?
I could do like a little news alert thing.
Here, you know what?
Okay.
Let me just play my little sound effect. How about that?
Okay, yeah.
Whoa, my what if I just did that? Okay.
Oh yeah. Well,
All right.
That's a little copyrighted, but
no, it's not. It's for like 3 seconds.
It's fine.
If 3 seconds, it's not. It's fine. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Steve Krause, catching us up on all the news that we've missed so far this morning or over the weekend. And what I like about you is a lot of us can be super narrow focused on the markets, myself included, aren't not always watching what's going on in the broader world, but you're always watching what's happening beyond Wall Street. So what's on your mind this morning? What's on your radar? What headlines are you seeing?
I'm a big news junkie, and so I mean there were some just big, not market moving, but interesting macro items this weekend. The first one I want to talk about is, of course, Johnson & Johnson. That is market moving. Johnson & Johnson approved by the FDA for emergency use authorization on that vaccine. Another weapon in the war against COVID. I forget the efficacy of this one is around 65, I think 65 to 70%.
So is that good? Because I thought the efficacy of the Pfizer and Moderna were in the 90s.
Well, right. The efficacy in the Pfizer and Moderna are in the 90s for 2 shots,
right.
But most people, I think, are only actually going to end up getting 1 shot. So some countries are lengthening the time between the shots required for Moderna and Pfizer. And then some people, some countries are saying, well, you actually might only need 1 shot of them. So, I think that in that comparison, it's actually pretty good. And again, Johnson & Johnson might end up releasing a booster for it too. So it might end up being a 2-shot vaccine down the line. So but it's not terrible.
Yeah. But you can see here today, these moves, every vaccine headline has been a headline to fade, right? You see like that green candle, that was 4 a.m. this morning, and then straight down.
Yep, look at that. It gapped up and then it's just back down. It's just right back down to 160. And because it was expected,
Right. Yeah, it was expected. And also it's Johnson & Johnson, their bottom line isn't going to, this vaccine won't make or break their bottom line at all. You know what I mean?
No, this is more of a good branding thing for them, right? Like, hey, we helped big time in the, now the really interesting thing is we might start hearing them more than Moderna and Pfizer. The CEO today gave some pretty good figures saying that people can start getting shots in the next 24 to 48 hours from today. And that, let me actually pull up my newsfeed right here. Let's see what he said that, the company is set to deliver 4 million vaccines by the end of this week and 100 million doses by June. That's pretty good. That's 30 million vaccines in 3 months.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. So, Johnson & Johnson just starting here, but they are kind of coming out guns blazing.
All right. What else here, Steve?
Okay. Well, I know you're a TV guy, Spence. You love watching TV. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I've been known to watch a show or two.
Yeah, just a few. So the Golden Globes were yesterday. Obviously not a market moving event, but some interesting things to note. So we had Amazon's Bo Rat 2 winning Best Comedy. And then something very interesting I noted in the television categories: Best Drama Series and Best Comedy Series. Every single show but one in each category was streaming. Every single one. The only two were HBO.
Do you have a count and see like Netflix versus Disney versus Amazon? Do you have a count?
Netflix is by far still the lead. I mean, they won Best Drama with The Crown. They had Ozark and Ratched. So that's 3 for them in Best Drama. Then the other 2 in Best Drama are The Mandalorian, so that's Disney, obviously, and then Lovecraft Country, which was HBO. So that's the only non-streaming one right there.
All right, I'm just seeing here. This is in an article on Benzinga.com. Netflix won 10 out of its 42 nominations. Disney won 5. Amazon won 2.
Mm-hmm. And the 2 were both Sacha Baron Cohen.
Right.
He won Best Actor.
HBO get shut out?
I mean, yeah, kind of. So Best Comedy was Schitt's Creek, which is Netflix, and then Emily in Paris, Netflix, The Flight Attendant, HBO, the Catherine the Great, which is Hulu, and then Ted Lasso, which is Apple TV. Apple actually had a nominee.
Apple, look at them.
Yeah, right. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. HBO was the only got 1 in each of those categories, and they didn't even win. Netflix kind of cleaned up. So yeah, well done, Netflix.
All right, Steve, let's do a couple more that are on your radar here. What other headlines should people be paying attention to right now?
Okay, well, we have the
or at least what they missed over the weekend.
Well, over the weekend we had it may have seemed like a bajillion years ago, or who knows how to keep track of it, but the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package that passed the House this weekend. It passed.
Am I supposed to be excited about that?
Well, do you want $1,400?
Call me when it gets through the Senate, though, right? I mean, or is it expected to?
It's expected to. So the snag in it is the $15 minimum wage, which is likely to not make it through the Senate.
I thought that was thrown out.
Well, people are assuming it's going to be thrown out. It hasn't been thrown out yet. It's moving to the Senate today because it was passed 2 days ago. It's expected to be voted on this week, probably, and with the minimum wage removed because it won't pass reconciliations and it definitely won't pass the 60 senators needed. So minimum wage will be gone. We'll go back to the House, but unemployment benefits, which are included in this, run out March 14th, I believe. And so, they kind of are on a deadline to pass this. So I don't think the Democrats are going to hold it up, but you never know. But yeah, it's $1,400 for individuals.
So is that to everyone? 14, or is it?
It's individuals individuals who make less than 150,000. So it's a fairly wide margin. And then married couples, 2,800 with an additional. I think there's an additional 1,200 for dependents. Okay. So for children. So yeah, it's a big deal.
So that's so I it shames me, but I actually forget. So we've gotten 2 checks. We got a 600. We got 2 600s. Is that right?
We got a 2,000 and a 600.
I can't even remember at this point. Is that bad?
I mean, no. That's why. Look,
I can't even remember. It's been so long, honestly.
I mean, so did you see the thing I shared in the everyone chat in Slack?
No.
It's just like time is just warped and flat. You should. It's a funny little comic. You should bring it up.
Oh, here. Yeah. Let me get it up on the screen. All right, you guys see that?
Yeah, scroll down on it a little bit.
Yeah.
March. Yeah. It's just like it's just never ending, right? And so it's like, it's not crazy that at that first line in March, that's kind of when you got your $2,000 check. And
it was 1,200. It was 1,200.
Oh, 1,200. You're right.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Nate.
1,200.
Listen, there's 1,000 headlines. I can't keep my head straight. I'm sorry. I don't even remember. Uh-oh, I just lost Steve. Steve, come back. Don't leave me here. Yeah, okay. So we had a 600 and we had a 1,200. Now we're going to get a 1,400. So,
right.
Okay.
So 1,200, 1,400.
Okay.
So the last thing that's noteworthy on my end for weekend was a former president made a speech at the Conservative Political Action Committee.
Is there anything like actionable or noteworthy out of that? Because prior to Trump, I never even put much stock in anything the president said, because the president didn't really move. He was always touting a new initiative or trying to get something through, but he never really moved anything.
Sure.
Prior to Trump. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, like during the economic crisis, there was, TARP at the beginning of Obama's tenure, right?
Sure,
and then there was the ACA, but like for the most part, yeah, a lot of this stuff was political, right? But yeah, I mean, Trump is, he just, had a 90-minute speech where he basically continued the lie that the election was stolen, and he continued to, basically say we're going to come back and beat him again. He didn't say he was going to run in 2024, but he basically went right up to that line. So, basically this is his, re-entry into the scene, if you will. I mean, he's still deplatformed, but, you're not hearing the end of Trump, basically.
Steve, you didn't even mention Warren Buffett. Did you read his annual letter? You really should. I'm saying it now.
Okay.
Every investor needs to read Warren Buffett's annual letter. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I want you to go. I want you to take me through it. Give me the highlights.
The biggest thing is, first off, he's like a jovial old man. Okay, like he's like a charming old guy, who like tells like fun like anecdotes about the history of his career.
Sure.
The big thing though is whoever writes it, whether it's him or someone else, whoever writes it does a really good job of just using plain language. They make it seem so easy, and by it I mean long-term investing. They make it seem so easy. They make you end it and you're feeling really positive about the future. His theme is always don't bet against America. So you're feeling really good about America, about American business, American ingenuity. He talks about what's worked for them in the past and how he's been able to survive crises and identify good businesses. And it's not very long. It's 14 pages. It's a very easy read.
Sure.
And he just uses plain language, makes it seem so easy, makes it seem so simple. Like, I can do this. I can be a good investor. I can buy and hold. Talked a little bit about buybacks and how they're helpful. Didn't really address any of the elephants in the room, like crypto or GameStop or Robinhood, or didn't talk about that.
Did you talk about COVID?
Not really, just within the context of like the effects that it had on the business last year.
Sure.
But not particularly. Just, he's optimistic for the future, and it's hard after you read it, not to be. And he uses all these good analogies, a lot of analogies, which I like. And again, it's just
analogies. Yeah.
It's an easier to read. Thank you. He's stock grandpa. That's exactly
stock grandpa.
Right.
Yeah. I love that.
He's stock grandpa. Melanie Marsh, you can stop listening to us. That's fine. But stock grandpa, that's how I feel. He makes me feel really good about. I read it and I was like, well, all right, I'm feeling okay right now. Feeling like I can do this. Feeling like the future's looking up.
That's
how I felt.
That's on my list to read today.
Every new investor should read that, because he really does make it seem so easy. So that's my recommended reading.
I'm glad. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Steve Krause is the Newsmaster General at Benzinga. That is his official title. Steve, any final thoughts for us?
No, just keep following along in the in the news feed. We know we're covering breaking news. We got some good stuff on Boeing this morning, and that was
they're buying more jets, right?
Yeah. UAL is buying more jets. So have fun with the SPAC, Spence.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. All right,
good luck, everyone.
Coming up next, and it is in the description, and it is pinned. It should be pinned in the chat. If it's not pinned in the chat, I'll be very angry. SPACs attack. Chris Cauchi knows everything you need to know about SPACs. Is it pinned in chat? It is not pinned. Let me pin that in chat right now. I apologize, everyone. Going to get the link to SPACs attack up there, and now it is pinned in chat. Click on that link. This stream that we're in right now is ending. We're going to go to the new stream. That, again, is SPACs attack. The link is pinned in chat to the top. It's pinned in the description. And that's it. So we're done here. I'm going to hop off. I'll see you in SPACs Attack. We're talking PSTH. We're talking there was a big deal announced this morning, a $4 billion deal. We'll talk SPACs on your radar, SPACs on our radar. Get your SPAC questions answered on SPACs Attack. Hit that like button. Guys, hit subscribe. Show us some love on YouTube. We appreciate that. All right, I'm going to hop off here. I will see you all in a hot second at SPACs Attack.